The consolidation of these corporations and monopolization is a massive issue, and it just goes hand in hand with this. Like, if you worry a lot about brands making their image more palatable for smaller devices, but you're not also like simultaneously upset with the idea that like, oh, if I feel powerless, that like they're changing these logos and I had no say in this, I never asked for this, who asked for this kind of thing, and you're not also upset with the fact that you have no other input other than whether or not you use their service, and a lot of the time you don't have much of a choice in that either. Your perceptions of these problems are a bit skewed, a bit uneducated, and a bit naive. This fish dude? Pretty cool. Anyway, this is Solar Sands. What on earth is going on with simplified logos? Now, to be completely and brutally honest with you all, I have committed a sin. I've committed many sins in my life, most of which involve your mother. But to stay on track here for a moment, I've actually watched this video already, but that was months ago on my live stream, twitch.tv/CONURECC. And that video, that react, didn't end up becoming a video on the YouTube because I can't upload literally every single reaction video I do because I just don't have the money to pay for that, because I can't edit all these videos myself as well, blah, 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 blah. So I have watched the video before. However, my takes have remained the same, and I think, you know, my aesthetics are better, my commentary is better, my ability to deliver that commentary is better. I figured, why not? Let's watch it again. The last video we did for Solar Sands was the NFT video. NFTs are ugly, but not for the reason people think. So, figured, let's give it a go again. Why not? What on earth is going on with simplified logos?
This is an official article by Discord, showing in great detail why they recently changed their brand look. The post goes through the various justifications for the changes to the logo, wordmark, and brand color. For the logo, they noted concerns about the readability of the antennas it has when printed on different types of materials, or when printed on really small surfaces such as a pin. The document,
which is standard logo things to worry about. And accessibility is good, especially for people with difficulty with their eyesight and stuff like that.
And even noted how parts of the original logo were asymmetrical. The word mark was changed overall to be more legible. The new brighter color they call blurple was chosen to be more bold and playful. On top of this, they refined and diversified their whole brand color palette. They even got thorough feedback from members.
Even I have a brand color palette. You'll notice this if you're familiar with my emotes in my website chat, or my Twitch emote, and all of my branding.
To the Discord community for direction on style, colors, and even some of the in-app phrasing. So it looks like they have everything in order. No change seems arbitrary, and each one has logical reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
So what did people think of it?
So listen, I can understand why some people feel some type of way about logos changing or aesthetics changing for the brands whose goods and services they consume. I can understand being like, oh, I was familiar with this logo, but now it looks different. And that's a little odd to me because I became familiar with this logo. But the amount of vitriol, the soy rage that I see on the internet anytime any brand changes their logos, their iconography, their brand colors, or anything related to their brand identity is just so outside of the realm of things that I give a damn about whatsoever. I don't get why people get so mad. I guess it's clout. Like, there's a lot of clout to be gained by like, we didn't ask for this.
Nobody asked us. Nobody asked us. Who asked for this? Ah!
Why do you care? It's a corporate logo. I'm sorry, but from a perspective of an artist, this is atrocious. How? How is this atrocious from the perspective of an artist? It's become more symmetrical. The antennas are gone, but the idea of the antenna is still there. The logo is more legible, which increases accessibility for people with problems with their vision. The new typeface is also more legible. And from an also artist's perspective, I think it looks better, actually. I think the new logo looks better. From any perspective, this is bad? Okay, dude. I found a way to revert to the old redesign. What is this? Dear Discord, bring back Blurple, revert the rebrand. Now, this is the praxis that people should be engaging in. We don't want new Blurple, corporate chill, no Wumpus. This is bad. We want old Blurple, memes, the old font, the old background, Wumpus. That being said, killing Wumpus, kind of cringe, though I don't think they killed him entirely. Wumpus is still around.
Oh.
Lol.
Now, before we move
Wait,
on...
what are some of these, some of these incredibly online comments? Discord, I hold you in high regard, but this is not a good look. Everything I originally loved about Discord's interface, from the streamlined pastel design to the simple graphics, it's being eliminated with this. I made an account specifically to tell you this is a garbage change. What is this crap, bro? I swear to God, we will march on Discord's corporate office and picket outside of it until you revert this change. I'm glad people are really excited and focused on the real issues at hand in the world.
I don't think I've seen a comment section in such unanimous agreement on something since YouTube Rewind 2018.
Yeah, no, listen. Discord changing their logo and font was my personal Afghanistan, okay?
It's kind of odd, isn't it? Just how much backlash there is for changes that, compared to other things we've seen this year, are pretty minor.
This is cringe. I can understand, like, some of the reasons why you'd get rid of the cat and dog part of the logo, but, like, there is a way to simplify this for better readability on a small scale, and I'll get to the reasons why all this shit happens later, without completely omitting them. It is possible, and it's cringe that they got rid of it, but Petco as a company is also kind of dog shit. If Petco literally only supplied people with products for their pets, I would not have an issue. But the fact that they sell animals as well, and usually get those animals from breeders, especially the birds, not a good play. Not a big fan. Adopt, don't shop.
The Discord logo just looks more like a game controller, and the shade of blue...
Oh, imagine my shock that the Discord logo is looking like a game controller when it is a brand that came about for allowing gamers to talk to each other like TeamSpeak or Mumble or even Skype. It's kind of like Discord is a gaming thing. And while Discord might be trying to branch out of it, it's literally a game controller. It makes so much sense.
Has been saturated by like 5%. However, even though from a practical design
By the way, I'm not like shitting on Solar Sands here. I'm just making fun of like people that would have an actual real issue with it. Solar Sands, as far as I'm aware in this video, is just talking about like corporate logos in general.
Point, many of these changes make sense. I can still understand the hate.
I can't. I can understand why people would feel like, wow, I liked the old design, and the new one I'm not used to yet. And I think that's kind of lame. But like the absolute vitriolic hatred, I cannot understand.
Discord logo does seem more reduced, less playful. This word mark is less dynamic.
This word mark looks like fucking shit. I'm sorry. The old Discord word mark looks like garbage. What is this? What is this even supposed to be? Why is there this little piece eaten out of it? I don't get it. Now, the switch from all caps to a mix of capital and lowercase letters is a bit cringe to me, because either you type in all caps or all lowercase. You don't mix them. I decide to do the all lowercase thing or all caps thing, depending on what I'm using.
More awkwardly soft looking.
A mix of cases looks lame.
And the brighter color,
nowadays.
Well, I stare at screens for long periods of time, so I really don't need any more brightness than I already get. It seems to me that while Discord tried to improve readability, while they made it more convenient by simplifying...
Your username con, your CC is not all lowercase? Yeah, because if the CC part of it, which is supposed to denote the domain name of my website, conure.cc, if that was also lowercase, it would look like my name is CONURE more than it already does. If I could get conure on everything, which is a common noun, so it's already taken on a variety of places, it would just be all lowercase like it is in the name. Another debate one. You don't know what you're talking about.
They missed much of the emotional and aesthetic content associated with their brand. This simplifying trend is something that many people have started to catch on to. It seems that, for whatever reason, brands are choosing to simplify their look to what feels like an excessive degree.
So I'll tell you what the actual reason is. You say for whatever reason, probably because I don't remember the most about this Solar Sands video, even though I have watched it, but you'll probably explain some of it later. The reason why brands have moved from very extravagant and exciting logos, I guess, to more simplified versions is primarily because of the advent of these things. Everybody, more or less, has a mobile phone. And the screens on these things, while they can get pretty large, like I have a Samsung fucking Galaxy S8 Plus or whatever, it's an old phone by this point, on a mobile device, if a logo is super extravagant, but then has to be reduced down to app icon size, or even smaller than that on like a web page, it's gonna be really hard to understand what the logo is, and therefore is going to be detrimental to the branding and and awareness of the brand for the consumer base of said brand. This is why this is happening, but this is not unique to app icons. For business cards, for press release, or anything put on paper in print, a lot of very extravagant logos of the past would often have simplified versions of their logos for the purposes of being shrunk down to really small scale, like on a business card. Especially when it comes to black and white print, like a newspaper, where you could use color in some ways to differentiate different elements of a logo in color. If you try to just black and white that, a lot of that can get lost, so usually you'll have negative space being utilized in that way. There's a whole bunch of different considerations, but the main reason is because smartphones are a thing that everybody has now. And because of this, there are people that do not have your 20 million by 20 million eyesight and can't see or understand the old Crocs logo, for instance. It just looks like a jumble of different colors if you've got bad enough eyesight like I do, because I've got keratoconus, which is a genetic condition that will progressively make me go blind, and the fix to stop that from happening is a $10,400 procedure that my insurance currently doesn't cover. Anyway, it's very important for accessibility, and accessibility is very important because not everybody has really good vision. There's a multitude of reasons why apps have decided to do this, and it's not because of anything other than the profit motive. They realize that if the brand is more legible, especially at small size given smartphones, the brand awareness goes up, the likelihood of people purchasing their goods and services goes up, they make more money. Very simple. There is no broader interest in art or creativity or whatever other thing that the consumers of these products might care about. It is literally just to increase brand awareness and then increase the bottom line.
And almost none of these changes have been welcomed positively by the internet. How is that possible? How can companies with their vast resources make such consistently hated changes? Are these
because the consumer doesn't know what they want. I'm gonna be honest with you. Corporate CONURE is coming out here, okay? The consumer very often does not know what the fuck they want. This is very readily apparent to me when it comes to myself as a brand. So there will be people who will ask me this is a video that might be cool to react to. This is a video that could be cool to react to. And then they'll link me a 2-hour long dissertation on some political theory idea that I do not give a shit about and I could not possibly make good content for. So I just don't make content about the thing. Anytime I get suggestions for content, like in my Discord, I have a content suggestion thing where people can post videos that they think might be good for me to react to. I react to almost none of them because you motherfuckers don't know what makes good CONURE content. I do. I am the brand. I can see the analytics. I see what does well. I see what doesn't do well. I see what I enjoy, etc., etc. This is a different kind of idea from branding, but it's to explain the idea that the consumer, while they might have a vague idea of what they want, they don't actually know fully what they want a lot of the time.
This is just incompetent? Probably not most of them. I can guarantee that for every stupid little change, some designer or design group has created an even more detailed, even more obsessive document justifying their logo changes.
Wait, so what is this one? So this is Internet Explorer. We go from this, which has a lot of frills, some gradients and all this kind of stuff, which, like I say, for the reasons described, not the best idea in the modern day. So on a big screen like we're watching this on right now, this logo is not that bad. You can see all the tiny details, but moving it to the smaller scale, not as much. This Internet Explorer logo is still chill. The only difficulty in regards to graphic design for small scale is this little piece right here, this little negative space here, which they seem to try to get rid of here in some small way, because they get rid of all of the orbit thing. This looks like dog shit though. Whoever designed this logo is out of their mind. And this is completely unrecognizable. But it's also Internet Explorer, and nobody gives a fuck about Internet Explorer anymore. It's Microsoft Edge now, whatever that is.
For every stupid little change, or usually pretty massive document justifying their logo changes. These justifications are usually
so this, once again, apps, easy.
Pretty easy to grasp. They usually include things
apps again, easy.
Like readability on different size screens, simplifying things to be more memorable, and creating a more refined visual language. All these things add up to make logos that are just so convenient, so clean, so confident. For whatever brand change there is going to
be, the 3D elements of this here for the Netflix logo has been omitted because that contrast between the border color and the 3D element and then the white is very muddy at low scale.
To be some sort of logic behind it. But there's also always going to be a trade-off. A square is convenient. A square is easy to read on different size screens. A A square is easy to memorize, but logos are often more than a square. What about character? What about personality? What about actually communicating with the
So this is one of people's favorite logos to talk about. Probably because, first and foremost, Firefox has a fox on it. And people like foxes because they're cute. And now they're upset that the fox looks less like a fox or whatever. Also, Firefox was the alternative to Internet Explorer for a long time before Google Chrome came out and took over the world. So there's some nostalgic element for people who are more on the internet using alternative internet browsers. But anyway, you go from this very detailed design to an even more detailed design to a slightly more detailed design. So they go in the opposite direction, but it's less detailed in some ways. And this is the pivotal change, obviously. We've removed all of the texturing on the main part of the Firefox, as it were, except for some pieces of it that are denoted in different colors. And then there's the little hand here, as there always has been. But the difficulty with this one is that we're using different shades of color to denote depth. So we have the snout here, we've got another ear on the back. And the way that this looks really small scale is a bit muddy. So they've decided to completely remove the arms of the Firefox and just through some disgusting and grotesque medical procedure, just saw it off. And then they change where the Firefox is looking. It's looking to the right. So you see a side profile rather than this interesting looking away from the camera, but at an angle kind of look. And I don't really like the newer design. They also made the world smaller, perhaps in an attempt to say that Firefox is taking over the world. It's not the best redesign in my opinion, but I understand the reasons behind it. What is this? The hell is this? Oh, and then there's this one. But apparently this logo here is not the one that's being used for everything. This is a very specific logo, not for the main Firefox browser, but for another Mozilla product. This is still the Firefox logo as far as I'm aware.
Simplification, like anything, is a designer's tool that can be used well or poorly.
This one I understand. This one differentiates it from Pinterest, right? Like, didn't Pinterest have a similar P-looking logo? And now it's like super abstracted. I don't know that I necessarily care for this design. I do think that this design is better than this one, but I don't think this is the best possible design we could have gotten for Patreon.
The Starbucks logo has been simplified several times.
God. And thank God for that. Jesus Christ. Listen, I don't think anybody wants this logo to come back, but holy fuck. What is this? Jesus, Lord have mercy. Then you have this, which is still odd to me. I'm not gonna lie. And then we've removed the Mermussi from the equation. And covered it up with the Starbucks coffee on the outside. And then we've gotten rid of the Starbucks coffee part because at this point, this is in 1992 to 2011. Now at this point, Starbucks has so much name recognition that you don't need the text there anymore. It's got so much name recognition that you can just see the siren mermaid lady and be like, yeah, that's Starbucks. That's crazy. And so they just get rid of the text itself as well because it's redundant. It's so easily understood to me why brands will do this. And the fact that people get mad at it is odd to me, but we'll also get into that later in the video, I'm pretty sure.
Far more than just a few polygons and everyone can still recognize it. The Apple logo, the Shell logo, the Nike logo, these are logos that work on their own without any further detail. But then there's logos that have been simplified and flattened to what feels like their own detriment.
So for the Pringles logo, which people got really ass-pained about, the things that changed is that they removed the black border, the stroke, which is a common theme because having a border on something will muddy up the stuff inside it. So you can't have texture on the hair or mustache if there is not also a border on the outside. So since they wanted to get rid of the border on the outside, which in my view is a good thing for the smaller scale, you can't have this kind of detailing on the mustache or hair, so they make the mustache a flat color because it's more accessible, more readable, and then they could have kept the hair and just kept it like a flat color like that, but the difficulty with that is that it becomes hard to differentiate the hair from the mustache, and it makes the design of it very muddy. So they just put eyebrows instead, where the hair was. You see, this one didn't have eyebrows, this one did. So essentially the main issue that people have here is the bald-phobic nature of a lot of you, even in my chat. A lot of you have some bald phobia for some reason. Male pattern baldness is a real thing, and it would seem that the Mr. Pringles guy has fallen to that as well. It's not unusual. People will go bald. He has malded. It is what it is. What's with the bald phobia, man? I do think that this logo could have been simplified better. A lot of the character, a lot of the personality from the Pringles logo is now gone because a lot of it was from the whites of the eyes in particular. If you kept the whites of the eyes, which would mean that you would have to make the eyes bigger, I think it would still retain more of the character, but, you know, it is what it is.
Take Firefox.
Uh-oh.
Now, there's been some misinformation surrounding this, as for a while this image was shared around which made the swoosh look like the current logo, which was not the case. This is the parent brand logo,
True.
which represents the
That's what I
family
said.
of Firefox products. This is the current logo. I even have it right here.
Hold
This
on.
might be one of the least drastic changes out of all we've seen this past year,
He's
but
still
I
the
still
boss.
feel it's a downgrade. The logo they used right before this one was basically, in my opinion, at the perfect balance between simplified and detailed.
I disagree. I think the arm is really unfortunate in that it's cute and you want to retain it, but it still adds an element to the logo that is hard to represent in small scale. So I understand why they got rid of the arm, and there's really no way you could have kept the arm, unfortunately. There's no way you can keep this arm because it's in such a position that it's always going to be conflicting with the rest of the logo. I think the main reason why they made the world smaller, the little orb in the center, is because they got rid of the arm. So they had more space to play with. So they want the fire to look more exciting and like it's engulfing a thing as fire does. So you make the orb smaller because now the arm is not there and all this kind of thing. And I think I understand. But like I said, I do think I like this logo a lot more. It's just, it's difficult. Graphic design is not easy, man. Graphic design ain't easy.
But they took it one step further, and now the Earth doesn't even look like an Earth, unless our oceans turn violet without me knowing.
They should.
I haven't really been going outside and touching grass like all the cool kids say. The little paw of the original is gone, removing just that extra touch of visual communication. Now it looks a little more like the Earth itself is on fire. Apparently,
But it is. Firefox is very forward thinking because they understand that climate change is a real problem that we're going to have to deal with. No, Firefox does not encourage climate change. Firefox acknowledges the existence of climate change, which is essentially the bare minimum for a corporation. Jesus.
the logo change was to fit in with a larger family.
Also, I'm pretty sure the fact that the Earth is being engulfed in flames by the Firefox for the Firefox logo is a direct one-to-one reference to Smash Mouth's All-Star. Is it the world's on fire? My world's on fire? How about yours? Have some respect for Smash Mouth, man. What's wrong with you guys?
Mozilla designers said that, as an icon, that fast fox with a flaming tail doesn't offer enough design tools to represent this entire product family. Petco removed its iconic cat and dog,
messed up.
making it infinitely less friendly.
This is messed up. I agree with that one.
Though they might be coming back in some form. Dunkin' Donuts has removed the donuts from its name because
This just makes sense because Dunkin' wants to move past just being affiliated with being a donut shop and wants to probably do other products outside of coffee and donuts. You know, it's understandable.
according to the CEO, they want to further modernize the Dunkin' Donuts experience. From our next generation restaurants to our menu innovation,
Yup.
on-the-go ordering and value offerings, all delivered at the speed of Dunkin'. Just like the Pringle change, it looked relatively the same, even the text is identical. But then it hit me. The Pringles logo isn't just a logo, it's also a face. A face with a glisten in its eyes and brown hair and a mustache. When you take those things away, it looks more, well, dead.
Yeah.
It's not
The big thing is you would need to make the eyes bigger to include the whites of the eyes. The eyes being this size and having a little glisten in the eye, the difficulty there is that it's gonna get lost in translation at low resolution. It's just unfortunate. That's how small logos work. So you would have to make the eyes bigger, which in theory is not a problem. And that's, I imagine, one thing that was investigated in the redesign. But
much more than a smiley face at
I
this
think this
point.
logo could be a lot better.
We spent the last 2 years in research and design to create a modern look for the cans in Mr. P's style that reflects the bold flavor in every Pringles
They
crisp
failed.
and stack, says the senior director of marketing for Pringles.
2 years.
The Patreon logo is easily the worst, going from a logo that is fine and recognizable to, I'm going to be blunt here, 2 shapes.
Pause.
That's what it is. 2 shapes that are supposed to represent a P.
I do think that this logo could also be a lot better. Do these redesigns count as yassification? No, bimbification. They're making it more simple.
If not removing iconic and meaningful detail from logos means that on a 144p smartphone screen, your logo can't be read by a grandma without her glasses on, I think that's a sacrifice that's worth it, you know?
You think so? You know, it's not all grandmas that have difficulty with eyesight, right? There are children who have to wear glasses because their eyesight's bad. I understand it's a joke, but allowing things to be more accessible, especially very small screens, is very important. Not everybody has good eyesight.
But then another thought occurs to me. Is this where we're at? Our emotions can be swayed by a bunch of shapes and colors slightly moving around? I'm sure
And isn't that just such a sad idea?
there are many out there who just find the changes amusing, a funny conversation starter.
That's
but
fine.
for many, there's a tinge of genuine anger and confusion
This is not
buried
fine.
beneath those lighter emotions. But why? Logo redesigns like Patreon and Pringles, I would argue, are just downgrades. I think they're just taking things away instead of refining them. Now one's less recognizable and one's less lifelike. Discord's new color will strain your eyes just a little bit more. Even if you can't pick out design features that work against it in a practical sense, people will still tend to react negatively to change, no matter what it is.
Let's take MasterCard for example. They have removed the big block of text and the intersecting lines and just left the red and yellow circle.
Yes, because people understand the MasterCard logo to be two sets of testicles. Well, I guess one set of testicles, but two testicles. And now they don't need the MasterCard on top of it, and that goes in hand with the logo being more readable, and the intersecting lines are also not necessary.
I actually find this to be a really good choice because it does what it needs to do. When you are shopping, using your card in your daily life, all you need to see are the two circles to recognize that it's the MasterCard. Yes. Any other text or details would just be distracting.
With the MasterCard logo, it wasn't flashy or out there, but for the minimalism change, they left it to just the two balls and made a Venn diagram. For gosh sakes, not everything needs to be that basic. Literally anyone could make this logo.
But brands aren't just about designs, they're also about emotions. I could easily make the argument that our lives, our happiness, our entertainment, our means of communication, our means of income, are more tied to a few brands than they have ever been. Even children as young—
I don't know about that one, Chief. That's a broader capitalist critique for another time.
In one study, children were mostly aware of brands that were usually targeted at children, like Disney and McDonald's, but sometimes brands not targeted at children were as well, such as Toyota. By age 3 to 4, children can make judgments about a brand and connections about what a brand can say about their personalities, whether one is strong, cool, smart, or popular. Even very young children today demonstrate brand knowledge and influence similar to that displayed by older children just a few decades ago. If you like—
I imagine some of this is like, okay, my parents have dressed me up in this way for clout, but, you know, as long as the kid wants to dress that way, then whatever.
Brand as a kid, chances are it will be much harder as an adult to lose that loyalty. It seems brands more than ever play a part in some of our earliest development. To my surprise, people were apparently upset—
Oh my god, what is this? The Young People's Satellite Network. What is this N? Why does it look like that? Oh, it's a camera! That makes sense. Yeah. It's one of those yeah, okay, I get it. This is also dog shit. This is fucking ugly. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. This is fine. This is simplified, but it's whatever.
About the Nickelodeon change a few years back. I suppose since I didn't watch Nickelodeon as early as a lot of other people, the Nickelodeon logo type just seemed like it always existed like that. There could certainly be an element of—
So this too, this is ugly as sin. Luckily they had this after launch, and then that, and then this one, which is the one I first saw when I started using the internet, and then we've just continually moved forward, which I think this is fine. For something as mundane as Google, which is just, for most people, literally just the search engine, you don't need a flashy logo. It's fine.
Nostalgia making people more vulnerable to change than is reasonable. But it's not like this is new. The American identity is made of brands. It's been made of brands for a long time. In many ways, we are a brand culture. A logo change is the most obvious change to that brand. If you've spent any time on—
It's because the logo is the forward-facing identity of the brand to the consumer. Crazy.
Internet, you can probably think of some change in a website you use that seemed backwards and stupid.
Well, the changes to the websites that I use that I will see to be backwards and stupid is not in regards to their logo or brand identity, but rather like mechanical elements of the brand's good or service that I am using. That's the stuff I care about, because that shit actually affects me. Like if Discord suddenly like made some weird change where you had to like have a certain kind of microphone in order to use the service, then obviously I'm going to care about that because that makes the shit less accessible and annoying. But the fact that Discord changed its logo to look better on a lower resolution does not bother me at all, because I'm not in such a position where I like so intrinsically ingrain the identities of the brands of the products that I consume into my mind, where like I'll see the Discord logo change and be like, oh my god, can you believe that Twitter would change their logo to look less like a bird? Like, I don't care, man. Why do you?
For me, I know a lot about YouTube's history. Hey, we're YouTube. We're going to remove a bunch of useful features because of some vague creator feedback, even though when we announced these changes on Twitter for some reason, we received massive backlash from countless real creators in the community. We removed community contributions, annotations, probably soon the dislike button, and instead we've added much more useful features like an editor, which I'll admit has some useful features, but the one it's really missing is text, which... oh yeah. And we've added a system that ranks your videos, so when a video does poorly, you can feel even worse about it.
Imagine being your worst ranking video, the last 10 videos published, only getting 135,000 views. Oh, good heavens. Good golly gumdrops. How sad that must be. These things scale, though. Like, if you're used to getting more than this, and you work really hard on a video and it does not do as well, then obviously, understandably so, you'll get upset. So, like, the things that Solar Sands is describing here are, like, actual features for the good or service the brand is giving you, not things related to its aesthetics. And obviously, these are the things that actually matter more, because those are the things that you directly interact with as a consumer. So these kinds of changes are infinitely more necessary. More people should get mad about the negative aspects of these kinds of changes than do the ones that just get mad at the logo change.
I can't believe I've allowed my happiness to be determined by a top 10 list. Oversimplifying logos is just a short and sweet way to show how powerless we all are to these companies, and whatever inane decisions they choose to make.
Wait, you've always been. What do you mean? It's a corporation. You have never had any power over a corporation. That equation has always been slanted in favor of the corporation. They've got all the money. They have all of the ability to do whatever they want with their brand as they see fit. The only input you have is whether or not you use their products, and unfortunately in America and a lot of other places, there are not a lot of alternatives for a variety of these brands and their services. The consolidation of these corporations and monopolization is a massive issue, and it just goes hand in hand with this. Like, if you worry a lot about brands making their image more palatable for smaller devices, but you're not also like simultaneously upset with the idea that like, oh, if I feel powerless, that like they're changing these logos and I had no say in this, I never asked for this, who asked for this kind of thing, and you're not also upset with the fact that you have no other input other than whether or not you use their service, and a lot of the time you don't have much of a choice in that either, your perceptions of these problems are a bit skewed, a bit uneducated, and a bit naive.
There are usually logical reasons behind these changes that maybe we don't recognize at first.
They almost always
but that doesn't reduce the sting when it seems like someone insists on fixing things that weren't broken in the first place.
Meh. I don't know. I find it hard to care. I'm sorry. I just find it hard to care. I don't care. YouTube could change its logo to be literally a piece of shit, but in red, and I wouldn't care because I'll just use the services I always have. It doesn't bother me. I don't get why people are mad about it. I think this is also part of a bigger trend of minimalism. Everything has to be quote-unquote minimized these days, and honestly, I hate it. Nothing makes me feel unwelcome than minimalistic design. It's not clean and sharp looking, it's hostile. What? Wait, how is it hostile? What? I can understand that minimalism is not everybody's thing, so maybe I have a bit of a bias because I very much enjoy minimalism. I like block coloring, I like cell shading, like even I live very minimalist, like you see the room I'm in. I got this credenza to put things on it to spruce up the background of my stream, and I only did that because people in chat were upset with the fact that my room looked like a barren wasteland. I just am not a big fan of like being very busy in terms of aesthetics, so maybe I do have that kind of a, and also there's nothing on it currently because I'm poor, but even for aesthetics, my branding is fairly minimalist, so maybe I have a bias in that regard, because there are people that are like getting really mad about the fact that like, oh, these logos used to be more intricate and personal, but I don't see how it's hostile. Is the Patreon logo supposed to look like a coin going in a slot? Oh shit, that would make sense. If it is, then that is not really conveyed well enough, but that would make sense considering the point of Patreon is to be a payment service for creators on it. There's a big part of this you're all missing. Every corporate quote-unquote rebranding is usually the result of a CEO attempting to look like they're bringing new ideas to the table, nothing new. I mean, I guess this could happen where like, oh, there are people upset with like the actual service we provide and the way that they interact with it. So let's change our logo to make it look like we're trying to make changes for the better, so we can completely like deflect away from the fact that we just don't want to change the problems with the service that people are experiencing. I can see that that could happen, but I don't think there are like CEOs, you know, in their smoke-filled rooms twisting their mustache going, Today, we will make a more minimalist logo, because it'll upset our user base. And as a corporation, our entire fucking goal is to make money, so upsetting our user base is kind of contrary to that idea, unless we're engaging in some outrage marketing thing, which usually when it comes to logos, people are not, or corporations are not. I don't think companies or even certain people understand how powerful logos can be. If you've seen a logo for who knows how many years, you really do become quite fond of it and get upset when it suddenly makes a change for the worse, especially now that it seems it's just a bandwagon of companies opting to do this. It's not just a bandwagon. I mean, maybe some companies are simplifying their logos because they think it's the cool new aesthetic, and it is. Like, making your logo look in a similar vein of other logos, but also retaining your own appeal is obviously going to be good marketing. But this is a problem to me. I don't like the idea that people have such an intrinsic tie to the identity of corporate entities. That, to me, is not very good. I don't think corporations should have such a large part to play in the, like, emotional state of the people that live on this planet. I think that is a bit of a problem, because if you have such a special connection to a corporation, almost like that corporation is like a person, then you are more liable to be exploited by that corporation. You're more likely to be able to get along with a variety of changes that that corporation makes that are not about their aesthetic, that are more about the way they do business, the way they exploit labor, the way they exploit labor outside of the country they operate in, the way that they dodge taxes. If you have such a connection to a corporation that even the minor change to its logo can get you up in a fucking tizzy, why don't you get equally as mad when you see the mountains and mountains of news and examples of corporations abusing their workers? Why don't you get mad when corporations don't give their workers raises, when they're not paid adequately, when they make changes that make the working conditions of a variety of workers in a given field more dangerous in order to cut costs? Why don't you get mad when they make changes to their corporation when it comes to layoffs in order to increase the profit margin? Why is it not those things that you're getting mad at? Why is it that you're so excited to get mad at a logo change? That's my question. The problem with these logo simplifications is that at some point it all looks so samey and sterile. I agree. You need to be able to, as a good logo designer, as a good graphic designer, differentiate yourself from the rest of the brands. And not all brands are good at doing that. Anyway, I think I've gotten my point across. The fact that people get so mad about a corporation changing its logo to the point where they will be like visibly ass-pained on the internet about it is a signal to that corporation that the amount of money and time and effort they've put into their brand identity and its solidification and overlap with people's sense of the world and their being in the world, it's a sign that they're doing something right, because they have so entwined their corporate bullshit as a means of making money, because that's the whole point of a corporation, into people's even like perceptions of themselves. It's just that, like, when you get mad on the timeline about Discord changing its logo, that's just a indication to Discord's PR advertisement team that they're doing something right. In simplified terms, you're cucked. Do better. Why do you care? Anyway, this is fun. I'm done. This video is kind of called as Cosmo Corvid. Congratulations on your second win ever. Here's to hoping for a third at some point in the near future. If you'd like to be the next Connor Call It, all you gotta do is follow me on Twitter at ConnorCC, retweet my video links when they go live. Remember to subscribe to the channel, put all notifications on and hit the bell, leave a like if you'd like, comment something insane down below as you always do, and have an incredible day.